Pinchas stood up and bravely saved the entire Jewish nation. And Parshas Pinchas opens up with the fact that Hashem says, "V'nasasei lo brisi shalom." Because of what he's done for the Jewish nation, I'm giving him a covenant of peace. The TheShmuz explains that because of this covenant of peace, Pinchas lived an extraordinarily long time, over 300 years. And then the TheShmuz says something very, very compelling. He says the reason why Pinchas lived so long is because he was given peace, and says the TheShmuz, the only reason the body breaks down, the only reason it deteriorates is because isnagdus hahapchim, the opposites conflicting. Since Pinchas was granted peace, there was no conflict of the opposites within him, therefore his body naturally lasted for hundreds of years. This TheShmuz is difficult to understand because it negates everything that we accept as proven medical fact. The reality is that the body deteriorates. The reality is that the heart was made to only beat so many times, and then with age it just starts wearing down. Granted, Pinchas may have been given a covenant of peace, but how does that explain how naturally then his body would last for over 300 years? And the answer to this question is based on modern science. Herbert Benson in the 1960s was a physician teaching on the Harvard faculty, and he made a very interesting discovery. He found that the patients that he met with regularly reported lower blood pressure at home than they did when he took their blood pressure. And what he went on to find was that the anxiety of standing in front of the doctor, the white coat syndrome, causes patients' blood pressure to be increased. And he made a discovery that was unknown at the time, that there was a direct correlation between anxiety and high blood pressure. Modern science, modern medicine now accepts this as a given, that stress, anxiety, tension has a tremendous correlation to health, and one of the greatest breakdowns of all the physical entities is anxiety, stress, and tension. The mind-body relationship is something that man discovered recently within the past number of decades, but the TheShmuz explained it to us over 500 years ago. What the TheShmuz is explaining to us is if the human being were in total, utter peace, there would be no conflict, there would be no breakdown in the systems. He would live an unparalleled life of health and well-being literally for hundreds of years. Because Pinchas was given that bris shalom, because he was granted absolute peace, his body lasted an extraordinarily long time. And this TheShmuz is very eye-opening on two counts. First of all, to understand that the Torah is based on Hashem's word, and every word of it therefore is true, and what modern science has yet to discover and may have begun to glimpse to a certain extent, the Torah is revealed to us hundreds of years ago. But there's a second part to understand from this that's equally compelling. And that is something that Rav Yosef Zecher Tzaddik Livrocha said on this TheShmuz. And that is the ultimate conflict of the human is within knowing what I'm here to accomplish and being confused about it. Every human being has a mission on the planet. Every human being has a clear understanding of what I was put on this planet for, and we all get lost in the woods. We all get so involved in the busyness of the day-to-day activity that we forget our mission. And the reality is that we're in conflict. There's an inner voice within us that says, what are you living for? Why aren't you accomplishing? Why aren't you growing? Why aren't you reaching the heights? And we're so busy that we don't quite listen to that voice. But that voice speaks, and we live in conflict. And says Rav Yosef, the greatest satisfaction comes to the human when he reaches that sense of inner peace, when he understands why he's here, when he starts growing, when he starts accomplishing, when he starts really dedicating himself to a Torah lifestyle completely, utterly. It's not just that he accomplishes his mission, he lives in peace, health, harmony, a much greater existence, a much more enjoyable stay on the planet.